Good evening. I'm honored, privileged, and most grateful to be here to share my life experience with you. It is something that I have lived through, but it is still going on because we human beings, we are making our life more miserable. You know that Sudan is the largest country in Africa in terms of the land. It's very big, but because of political instability, Sudan has been at war for more than 50 years. So I will not go deep into the political aspect, but I will just share my life experience. What happened when the politicians are not making good decisions in a country. So the war I would be talking about is the war that has happened since 1983 until 2005 when peace was signed. And that is just the same war that is still going on in Darfur. Just how did I survive? What did I do differently? And this go back to the parenting, because without my parents' wisdom, I would have not been here standing in front of you. This is my roadmap journey running across Sudan for 4 months, barefooted. Didn't have any clothes on me. I was 10 years old. What was life like before Civil War? And this is what my parents taught me. They say that you don't need any material to be happy. All you need is your parents, all you need are your siblings, and all you need is your teacher. My mom believed that if you have your teacher, if you have your brothers, if you have your friends, then you are the most wealthy person in the world. When I was 10 or 9 years old, I couldn't believe. Then my dad, on the other hand, believed in hard work. And most of you might have heard of Mountain Kilimanjaro. Mountain Kilimanjaro, the tallest mountain in Africa. And in the evening after we came back, my father would point to each of us, 9 of us, and he said, each one of you, here my children, if you have positive attitudes and if you work hard, you can bring down Mountain Kilimanjaro. And I said, wow. I told him, you must be a crazy dad. How could a human being bring down a mountain? I didn't know anything about that. So our life was very normal. This is where I was born. There's no electricity, there's no running water. And my friend Andrew and Jane can attest that because they had been to the village. They just came back yesterday from Sudan. And I came back on Saturday. And they really know what kind of life is there. But what is so inspiring is the sense of community, is a sense of happiness. Those people, they don't have anything at all, but when you see them, they're smiling, they have a sense of happiness. And that is what my parents used to say, that you need people, you don't need material to be happy. So I was really a happy child before the Civil War. In that particular culture, the more cows you have, then the more wealthy you are. So, and as a young boy at age of 10, because there was no what I call Western education, like school where young people come together in the morning and then they would be taught by one teacher. In that particular village, in that particular time in 1987, there was nothing like that. So as a young boy growing up in a family, my duties were to look after my family cows. So every morning when I go to the grazing field with the cows, then I would come back. That was my duty. But that fateful day in January 1987, I was away in the village, about 15 miles away from the village. All of a sudden, I heard a gunshot, so I was surprised. So I got up from where I was, and I saw 4 Arab militiamen dressed in military uniform. They were wielding guns. So as a young child, I was afraid. I thought they were strangers. And way back before the attack and before I saw the strangers, my dad cautioned me one of the evening. He said, my son, when you are out in the field, you need to watch out. The political atmosphere of this country is not good this year because there is kidnapping, abducting of women somewhere. And so that when I saw them, the message that my dad told me came through, and I ducked down. I was sitting in a tall grass like this, and my cow were grazing. So I hide myself. Had the militiamen saw me or have they seen me, then I would have been shot dead. Luckily enough, they didn't bother to look around. They began to steal my cows. They began to chasing my cow toward northern Sudan. Like most of you could have done. Now, my cows were stolen, and part of the responsibility was to come back in the evening and be able to tell the family. So I was running home, and before I got home, that's what I saw. I saw fire coming out in the village, and as I was coming closer to the village, two gentlemen that were running away from the village met me on the way, and they sympathized with me, and they say, Gabriel, do not go to the village. But because I have a sense of urgency, the fact that my cows were stolen and I need to meet with my parents. Two of them were standing in front of me, and I was pacing them, and they were pacing me. After a while, I didn't want to listen to them, and after a lot of frustration, I thought I would run. So I was running. I tried to bypass them, and I tried to run as fast as I could, because they sympathized with me, and they had already witnessed what is happening in the village or what is taking place at that particular time. So one of the men tried to grab hold of me, and his best way was to put me on his back, and then he would run away. That man was literally shot dead in front of me. I literally fell on the ground, and as I rolled over, the bullets narrowly missed me on either side. Way back in that hut in the evening when my parents gave us education, I remember my dad used to say, any single decision, my mother believed that any person, if you make any single good decision, can save your life. So in order for me to survive dodging the bullets, I pretended to be a dead child. That was the only way that I could survive. So the militiaman thought I was dead. He left, and I made it to the village. That is what I did. I saw dead bodies on the ground. The houses were burning and collapsing around me. So at that particular juncture, I lose hope of finding my family. So I fled into forest. I was almost to be eaten by a lion. So I climbed up the tree to spend the night. It was a very sleepless night. I will never forget. The lion knew that I was on the tree. The following morning, different people from different villages, they didn't know that I was on the tree, or they were not coming because they know that I was on the tree. They were just running for their lives too. So as they were coming toward the tree, I peeped through the leaf to see to really see whether would they be the people that I saw at the grazing field, or this would be a different group. Luckily enough, they decided to settle under the tree, and they began to share their life stories. And part of the education from my parents was to be a good listener. So I listened to their message, and what I was listening was just the same audio: the kidnapping of children, abducting of women. And at that juncture, I announced my presence. So they told me to follow them, cross the Nile, saw people being swallowed by alligators and crocodiles. And it was really it's like a miracle. How could a human being survive crossing the Nile? But because of the strong values that my parents instilled in me, the strong values of not giving up hope, of always trying to work hard, I was almost to give up crossing the Nile while seeing people being eaten. But I recall that if my parents knew that I'm going through this difficulty, if they knew that I'm almost to be eaten by crocodile, what would they say? I knew by then they would not come just jump into the river and get me, because they could not do that. But they gave me the values not to give up hope and always to work hard. So while in Nile, I recall, now, I think my parents gave me those values. I need to work hard, overcome this mountain. Now, this is where I realized my father was a wise man, because a mountain becomes anything that is affecting you in your life. And in this case, my mountain is crossing the Nile with seeing people being eaten by crocodile. So I crossed the Nile by luck and by grace from God.